Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video I'm going to be covering Storm. She made her first appearance in Giant Size X-Men issue number 1 that was released in May of 1975. Her real name is Ororo Munroe, and she's a powerful Omega level mutant of Kenyan heritage, standing 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 145 pounds, also having striking blue eyes and long, pure white hair, although her eyes do glow white when she's using her powers. And her powers are considerable, being a mixture of her genetic mutant abilities as well as her inherited magical potential. Storm is one of the most powerful mutants on Earth, and her primary ability is atmokinesis, being able to completely manipulate any weather pattern on any planet that she's on. She can change the temperature of the environment to any extreme, as well as conjure all forms of precipitation, be it rain, sleet, snow, hail, or fog. To go on, she can also generate and direct any form of lightning and electromagnetic energies, and she can even control the atmospheric pressures. Storm's complete domination of atmospheric conditions has even allowed her to flash freeze objects, condense atmospheric pollutants into acid rain or toxic fog, and give her the ability to not only make herself fly, but others around her as well. To go into even more details, she's so skilled that she can even manipulate the air in a person's lungs or inner ear, in addition to bending light with the ambient moisture in the air, making herself or objects nearly invisible. Storm has been shown to use electrolysis to actually breathe underwater and is known to have very keen senses that are in tune with the natural world, being able to detect minute details of anything in the atmosphere of the planet she's on, meaning that she can do things like detect an airplane cutting through the atmosphere thousands of miles away. Her learned ability to focus her powers, as well as her manipulation of electromagnetism, has given her a very effective resistance to some of the most powerful telepaths. Now, Storm's magical potential has never fully been tapped, but it's been said that her spirit is so strong that she was one of the very few beings powerful enough to host the avatar of Eternity himself. This amazing fact is a little more reasonable if you understand that she's also a goddess, at times being worshipped by various African cultures, including Wakanda, as the rain or storm goddess. She's actually been shown to get significantly more powerful the more her people believe in her, which likely is tied to her aforementioned magical potential. In addition to her supernatural abilities, Storm is a master thief, combatant, weapons expert, tactician, and leader, actually being the head of various X-Men teams over multiple years. Matter of fact, other than Spider-Man and Wolverine, Storm is also the only other person in Earth 616 to have been a member of the X-Men, Avengers, and Fantastic Four. And although Storm has low-level superhuman reflexes, balance, and coordination, her strength, speed, and durability are just those of a very athletic normal woman. That is, except in the occasions where she's become the goddess of thunder, wielding the Asgardian Hammer known as Stormcaster, and obviously becoming much more powerful. The only obvious weaknesses Storm has is the fact that her manipulation of weather can be unpredictable if she doesn't keep her extreme emotions in check. And a traumatic experience in her youth has made her extremely claustrophobic. Now, Ororo is descended from a long line of African priestesses, who all have the rare genetic trait of having white hair, blue eyes, and the potential to wield powerful magic. Her mother, named Indare, was a Kenyan princess who married an American photojournalist named David Monroe, moving to New York City where Ororo was born. When she was just 6 months old, her parents decided to move to Cairo, Egypt. And when she was just 5 years old, both of her parents were killed when a plane crashed into their home during a Middle Eastern conflict. Ororo survived this, but being buried under rubble near her mother's body is what left her traumatized and claustrophobic. From this point, the young mutant would basically raise herself, roaming the streets of Cairo and eventually becoming a very accomplished pickpocket. And by the age of 12, her mutant power to control the weather began to emerge. She would then travel throughout the African continent, where she used her powers to help several tribes, who then in turn began to worship her as the goddess of rain. Professor X would later return to Africa and convince Ororo to use her powers to help all of mankind. She would join the X-Men under the alias Storm and quickly became one of Professor X's most trusted students and top lieutenants. However, at one point early in her career, Henry Peter Gyrich would shoot her with a weapon that removed her powers. This event would lead her to meet and briefly fall in love with Forge, the man who designed that weapon. Although temporarily powerless, she would still continue to work with the X-Men, eventually regaining her powers. She was so dedicated that she would shortly thereafter give her life to defeat the adversary. But Roma, who was the daughter of Merlin, would resurrect her back to life. Now, Storm would be one of the few mutants to keep her powers after the M-Day event. But during this time, she would leave the X-Men to return to Africa. While there, she would marry T'Challa, aka Black Panther, becoming the Queen of Wakanda, although she would eventually return to the X-Men to help them search for Hope Summers. Storm would also later help defeat the Shadow King, who had possessed her husband's body. Following this, she would step up her Wakandan loyalty even more, taking over as the sole ruler of Wakanda after Dr. Doom critically injured T'Challa. But later down the line, she would be a part of a house divided, when she initially sided with the X-Men in their conflict against the Avengers, putting her on the opposite side of the fight from her husband. And although this contributed to him having their marriage annulled and her returning to work for the X-Men full-time, the two would keep a strong bond with each other, knowing that they could call on each other's help whenever needed. Some time later, when the Terrigen Mists threatened mutant kind, Storm would step up to be a full-fledged leader of the X-Men in a war against the Inhumans. And despite her later stepping down as the official team leader, Storm has always remained an alpha member of any group or adventure she's been a part of since. Now, for her powers and abilities and her influence on the Marvel Universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Storm Ororo Munroe a rating of 10, which is a legendary rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join the new Sage.